They can't go back. It's real. The reality in Haiti is real.
In a 6-3 vote, the Supreme Court gave the Trump administration the green.
The United States may soon deport hundreds of thousands of people who have been living in the country.
Springfield, Ohio. Notice how the migrants they're never brought to Nantucket. They're never brought to Beverly Hills, where they're going to have to compete with Americans for wages, depreciate those wages. I'm sure, does anybody at this table, have you heard the name Aiden Clark, an 11-year-old boy? No? You guys don't know his name?
But 350,000 Haitian Americans who are black can't stay here, even though they have been here, many of them for many years. They can't stay here. They're tax-paying people.
The United States may soon deport hundreds of thousands of people who have been living in the country as part of a humanitarian program. The Supreme Court ruled on Thursday that the Trump administration can end temporary protected status for Haitians and Syrians in the United States. That status allows people from countries affected by war or natural disasters to stay in the United States. The court's decision could also affect people from 11 other countries. Florida is home to a large Haitian community. Reporter Christine Vasquez shows you how they're taking the news.
News of the Supreme Court's decision rippled through members of South Florida's Haitian community gathered at Miami City Hall to protest the city's agreement with Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
All of these battles are intertwined.
My people, they can't go back. It's real. The reality in Haiti is real.
Hold on. Did you hear what she just said? A death sentence. That's not me being dramatic. That's the Haitian community's own words. The U.S. State Department has a Level 4 Do Not Travel advisory on Haiti. That's the same level as Somalia and Syria. If it's too dangerous for American tourists, how is it safe for 350,000 people we're about to dump there? These aren't illegal border crossers. These are people who came here legally through a program signed into law by George H.W. Bush. They've been here for years, some for over a decade. They have jobs, families, kids in school. And now, one Supreme Court ruling and they're criminals. Let that sink in before we continue.
In a 6-3 vote, the Supreme Court gave the Trump administration the green light and temporary protected status for more than 250,000 Haitians.
There is no grounds for terminating Haiti TPS based on the country conditions inside Haiti. This is absolutely absurd.
But with the State Department Level 4 Do Not Travel advisory still in place for Haiti, TPS Haiti advocates say the Supreme Court's decision is cruel. They described forced deportations to the gang-riddled nation like a death sentence.
I would not say we would likely going back. We're going to stick together. We're going to keep on fighting.
The battle is not over.
Here's what Mike DeWine, the governor of Ohio, said. He says the policy to remove these individuals from this country is a mistake. This also means that while these Haitians were working and contributing to our country, our community and economy yesterday.
Wait, that's a Republican. Mike DeWine, Republican governor of Ohio, calling this a mistake, not a Democrat, not CNN, a Republican. And he's not talking about abstract policy. He's talking about Springfield, Ohio. The same place J.D. Vance lied about Haitians eating cats and dogs. DeWine saying these people are the community. They work, they contribute, and overnight we flipped a switch and made them illegal. Think about that. You go to bed a tax-paying, law-abiding resident. You wake up deportable. How does that work? How is that not a massive government overreach? Even Republicans are sounding the alarm.
Today, it is now illegal to them. So he is sounding the alarm. And this is, by the way, the place, he calls out Springfield, Ohio. This is the place where J.D. Vance lied about Haitians eating cats and dogs. And he says they are a part of 10,000 of them. They're a part of this community now. They're taking on jobs. They're building the economy. And he just says it's the wrong policy.
Yeah, it is. And so the court's decision is actually really good for Haiti as a country, as a sovereign nation, because the first word in TPS is temporary. It's always supposed to be temporary. And specifically in regards to the Haitians who have come here, the first batch came, I think, in 2010 after the earthquake in Haiti. It's been 16 years since the earthquake. So that's not temporary. And at what point, by American standards, are we going to decide that Haiti is livable again? When's that day coming? Is that coming in 6 months? Is that coming in a year? Probably not anytime soon. And one thing that doesn't get talked about is some of these TPS recipients, not all but some, have been doctors, lawyers, engineers, teachers who left Haiti. How is Haiti as a nation supposed to rebuild itself when we've brain drained a lot of their talent and planted them in Springfield, Ohio, where that's not fair to the residents of Springfield, Ohio either. And as a nation, we are legally obligated to our own citizens before we're obligated to anybody else. Springfield, Ohio, notice how the migrants they're never brought to Nantucket, they're never brought to Beverly Hills, they're never brought to Martha's Vineyard. They're never going to go compete with hedge fund bros who inherited the job from their dad. They're always going to be brought.
This is the part nobody in the media wants to talk about. Notice a pattern. Migrants are never resettled in Nantucket, never Beverly Hills, never Martha's Vineyard. You know who lives there? The same politicians and pundits lecturing you about compassion. They're happy to be compassionate with your town, with your schools, with your wages. They never have to compete for jobs with someone who'll do it for half the pay. That's always your problem. Middle America bears 100% of the burden and gets called racist if they complain. Remember when DeSantis flew 50 migrants to Martha's Vineyard? They were removed within 48 hours, 50 people. The elites couldn't handle it for 2 days. But Springfield, Ohio is supposed to absorb 10,000 and shut up about it.
To middle America places like Springfield, Ohio, where they're going to have to compete with Americans for wages, depreciate those wages. I'm sure, does anybody at this table, have you heard the name Aiden Clark, an 11-year-old boy? No? You guys don't know his name?
Here we go
11-year-old boy
Here we go
killed
again.
by a Haitian immigrant under TPS.
Remember that name, Aiden Clark, 11 years old, killed when a Haitian immigrant under TPS, with no American driver's license, drove into a school bus, 20 other children injured. Now, the other side will say immigrants commit fewer crimes statistically. Maybe that's true. But Aiden Clark is not a statistic. He's a dead child. And the media buries his name because it doesn't fit the narrative. Every life matters until it's inconvenient. If this were a different demographic behind the wheel, his name would be on every channel for a month. But because the driver was a TPS recipient, silence. That's the double standard. And that's why people are furious. Not because of race, because of the hypocrisy.
With no American driver's license, who rammed his car into a bus, killed 11-year-old Aiden, and injured 20 school children. Who is this good for? Not the Haitians, not the American people.
I love how they cherry pick isolated cases and forget the fact that people who are immigrants actually commit fewer crimes than people who are residents in this country. But getting back to the point of this discussion about Haiti, first of all, I'm so glad that you're concerned about Haiti right now.
I am. It's a sovereign nation.
And the alleged brain drain. But the U.S. State Department says, would you let me speak? Because I let you speak. The U.S. State Department says that it's actually not safe for Americans to travel to Haiti right now. So you want to dump these people into a country where even our own State Department under the Trump administration says it's not safe. But the larger problem is that this is a country that is now governed by a racist foreign policy and a racist immigration policy. At the same time, Stephen Miller is out here claiming that we don't allow anybody into this country for asylum anymore when the doors are closed. We're allowing white South Africans to come to this country. Those are the only people who can come to this country right now, white South Africans. But 350,000 Haitian Americans who are black can't stay here, even though they have been here, many of them for many years. They can't stay here. They're tax-paying people.
Now he's making it about race. And look, I get the argument. White South Africans get fast-tracked, black Haitians get deported. On paper, that looks damning. But here's the question the media won't ask. What's the actual criteria? TPS was supposed to be temporary. The T is right there in the name. It was never meant to be permanent residency. South Africans applying for asylum go through a different process entirely. Comparing the two is apples and oranges, and he knows that. But, and this is important, if the administration is making these decisions based on race instead of law, that's a real problem. And Justice Kagan's dissent suggests the Supreme Court itself is split on whether that's happening. That's not a media talking point. That's a constitutional crisis, and we're about to see exactly why.
They are law-abiding people. They are people who actually do jobs and create jobs. They're actually people who are doing jobs that some Americans don't want to do.
No, they want the jobs. They just don't want to do it for that wage.
Cleaning toilets,
they don't want to do it for that wage.
In a hotel.
And big business, the healthcare industry loves to keep them here. It's modern slave labor. You oppose
Caroline, you're not the only person at the table.
Just a second. I will say, he did let you finish your entire thought, so just let him finish his, please.
So I think the larger problem here is that we have an administration that is changing not only foreign policy, immigration policy, but changing the Republican Party. What Raul said a moment ago is really important. This is a bipartisan bill. This is a bipartisan legislation, the Immigration Act of 1990, signed by President George H.W. Bush, at the time when Republicans and Democrats used to agree that it was okay, that America actually believed in the principles of the Statute of Liberty, that we actually wanted to have people come here and seek asylum, or to at least come here and to be able to live here if they knew that their conditions were not good in their own countries.
Well, first of all, I just want to note that, to your point, the State Department has a level 4 warning for Haiti, Syria, and Somalia. It says, do not travel for U.S. citizens, and if you do travel, prepare a will. So I think that tells you kind of everything you need to know about how they feel the situation is. But on the issue of racism, that came up in the court decision. And Samuel Alito, in the majority opinion, said, none of the cited statements by either the president or the secretary were overtly racist. In substance, all express policy views that could rest on race-neutral justifications. Elena Kagan, she hit back and said, the evidence they have offered includes statements by the president so repellent and racially infected that the majority declines to put them in print. These statements fairly shout, in their racial undertones and overtones alike, that race entered into the president's resolve to remove Haitians from this.
There it is. The quote that started all of this: whole countries. The President of the United States, in an Oval Office meeting about immigration, reportedly used those exact words about Haiti, El Salvador, and African nations. Now Trump denied saying it. Senator Durbin said he heard it. Senator Cotton and Perdue first said they didn't remember, then later denied it. Classic he said, she said. But here's what matters. Whether he said those exact words or not, the policy reflects that attitude perfectly. The administration has been trying to end TPS for Haiti since year one. They've tried to end DACA. They've slashed refugee admissions from exactly the countries Trump reportedly disparaged, so you can debate the quote all day long. But the policy is right there in black and white, and a 6-3 Supreme Court just greenlit it.
Country.
Can I just
so
mention some of those
when he
comments?
called Haitians or Haiti a shithole country,
Thank you.
that I think that's what a lot of people. What's one of the many statements that make a lot of people believe that there is racial animus at play here.
Well, I mean, you're making it about race. Keith's making it about race. That was precisely the argument that the Supreme Court said was not the proper one. Yes, the legislation for TPS was a bipartisan bill from 40 years ago, but it gave the Secretary of Homeland Security extreme policy oversight in determining who gets TPS or who loses it. In this case, we've litigated this. We had an election, right? President Trump, you pointed out he said some pretty mean things. We litigated this debate during the election, and the American people chose to have a more restrictive anti-immigration policy. That's just the fact. The American public put Donald Trump in place. He is now implementing policies that you may not agree with, but the American people elected.
Haiti is the issue that involves race most directly. It's an equal protection issue under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. He actually said these countries, he said Haiti is a shithole country. He said they're poisoning the blood of this country. He said they're bringing AIDS to this country. He accused Haitian immigrants of eating people's cats and dogs.
You're citing emotions?
That's what
you could have
Donald
emotional.
Trump said.
I'm citing what the Supreme Court decided. The Supreme Court decided that your argument was moot.
And the Supreme Court was wrong. There were three dissenting members who said otherwise.
Gave the Secretary of Homeland Security the authority to do this.
The thing I think is most important when we're talking about TPS is that this case was not about a definition of what is temporary, when is temporary too long. And it was not a case about whether or not Haitians are here doing jobs that Americans don't want. And Haitians actually, among our immigrant population, Haitians have some of the highest educational attainment because many people who have come from Haiti left because they are professional people with advanced degrees.
Raul,
does
TPS allow the sunset?
Joe, please let him finish.
The point of TPS is in the letter of the law and the spirit of the law is that it grants humanitarian relief to people from these countries where they would be in danger if the U.S. government returned. This is not a question of what the Supreme Court did not even examine the issue.
Does the statute give an end date for the renewal?
No, by design.
So
and the statute says
TPS
that the
doesn't have
Supreme
renewal
Court,
dates.
you're correct in the sense that the statute does give Homeland Security Secretary this discretion to around TPS. when they follow the processes, which they admit in the filing that they did not. That's what makes this a really startling decision. And I know I'm talking too much, and so but I want to say that's an important part of this.
Let me just
discussion.
play one more thing. This is Stephen Miller today talking about what he thinks the founding fathers would have wanted. Listen.
You know, when the founding fathers built this country, they were keenly aware of the fact that their history as Englishmen in the colonies, their history and experience with Enlightenment principles and values formed the foundation of our system of government.
And here's where it gets historical. Stephen Miller, the architect behind this entire immigration crackdown, is now invoking the founding fathers. His argument: the founders wanted a nation that controls its own borders, decides who enters, and protects its own citizens first. And you know what? On the surface, he's not wrong. The Constitution explicitly gives Congress the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. Border control is a fundamental sovereign right. No serious person disputes that. But, and this is the part Miller conveniently skips, the founders also wrote, "All men are created equal." They built a system designed to be better than the monarchies they fled. They didn't build a nation that turns away people fleeing violence because of where they were born. The question was never, can we control our borders? Of course we can. The question is, are we using that power with wisdom or with cruelty? And when a 6-3 Supreme Court upholds a policy that even Justice Kagan called racially infected, I think we have our answer. Look, this is the story nobody in the mainstream media is going to cover honestly. They'll tell you about the ruling, they'll tell you about the politics, but they won't tell you about Aidan Clark. They won't tell you about the elite hypocrisy, and they sure as hell won't connect the dots between Trump's shithole comment and the policy that just got greenlit. That's why I do this. If you want the full picture, unfiltered, no spin, no agenda, hit subscribe. Because this story isn't ending, it's just beginning, and you need to be ready for what comes next.
It's simply not the case, it has never been the case, to go back to the Haiti example, that you can just take 3 million people from a failed island, put them into America, and overnight that they are able to become fully successful, fully assimilated American citizens. That defies everything we know about how culture works, how assimilation works, how nations work.
So, Amanda, I find it extremely rich for someone like Stephen Miller to say that, especially since his own ancestors, who were Jewish, who fled persecution, came to this country and were thought at the time to not be capable of assimilation, were thought at the time to not be compatible with American society. And they came here and they assimilated. And now he's in the White House.
It is the embodiment of the American dream. I mean, it's literally engraved on the Statue of Liberty. Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. Like, this is a place where you can come if you are not safe where you live. It is a place where you can come and incorporate and assimilate and be a true American.
Can they come stay at your house? Can they come to your community?
They are in our community. I live in New York City, one of the most diverse
So
cities
can they
in the
come
world.
stay at your house?
I would welcome them in my home.
As
I would
many
welcome
as
them
we
in my
need?
neighborhood.
As
If
many
they
as
are
we
coming
need.
here through the way.
Could your house handle 10, even if it doesn't have room for 10?
We should solve the housing crisis in New York City, and then I would love to do
that's an
that.
excuse, but you could just take them now.
TPS are not doing
Let
that.
me let Amanda finish her
I would just say,
point,
I think it's
please.
like such a devastating way to go into celebrating 250 years of America by kicking out the people who make America great, who make this country what it is. The immigrants who come and say, you know what, I'm going to come as a doctor, an engineer. I'm going to bring my talents to Springfield, Ohio, and make that a home.
Was the Haitian migrant who killed 11-year-old Aidan Clark making America better with that action?
That is
Do you think his
conflating.
family would say that? Do you think his family would say that?
You're going to kick out
He killed a
350,000
child
people because
killed
of
a
one
child.
case.
Is that
One
making
case.
America
You're going to
better?
kick out
I don't think that's my
350,000 people
definition of
because of
making
one
America
stereotype.
better.
What about all,
One, I
what
don't
about
have
all
to
the
give you
white
one.
people who commit crimes in this country? You're going
One
to kick
life
them out of this
matters.
country? You're going to
One
kick them out of this
American
country
life
too?
matters.
But
But you haven't
know
answered
what?
the question.
Your comment is just
Is
as
killing an
racist as
11-year-old
Donald Trump's
American
comment.
child making America better?
I didn't
It's
focus
not.
on one Haitian person and use that as a justification for a racist foreign policy. It's disgusting. It's abhorrent.
It's
And
disgusting
if
that an
you stand here
11-year-old
and
was
use that as
killed
a
by a
ju-
Haitian
justification
migrant
to
who
smear an
rammed his
entire
car into a
population that
bus.
Trump already
That is
called
disgusting.
shithole? A shithole country?
He was referencing
That
the
shows
government,
exactly what
which
MAGA
treats
is
their
made
people
of. It's
poorly.
made of racism.
All right, we got to just leave it there.